mics. Welcome to the Sports Fiends.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see some resent fandom for sure. We had that a little bit in New England. If you had a Yankees family or a Red Sox family, you'd have a couple stragglers mixed in there.
Yeah.
The show where just
I will never understand it, to be honest with you, Ryan. I will never understand.
Man, it's somebody. There's a million different traits that work that way with kids, right? Like you either end up like your parents, or you're so resentful that you had to deal with your parents in that specific area that you end up the opposite. You know, like it happens.
I mean, I don't know, man. I know my sister had dated this dude that was from Denver and a Raiders fan, and he was about my age. So it was, it was that during our era when we were growing up, the Raiders were a good team and the Broncos really weren't until John Elway really got to the Super Bowl. So
it was a deal breaker for you, but not for her, huh?
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. To each their own.
Yeah, okay.
And welcome to the show. I am Arthur Knight, and with me, as always, is Mr. Ryan Lagan. Say hi to the people, Ryan.
Hi to the people, Ryan.
All right. Welcome to the Sports Fiends Show. Sports Fiends, we got a lot on our plate today, so I want to get right to it. I honestly do, but welcome to the show. We are coming to you live from So High Cafe, and we are brought to you live by iEnvy Vision. Excuse me. iEnvy Vision is devoted to offering affordable and fashionable eyewear. iEnvy Vision is your eye care advocate. It's not like I read this every week. Their goal is to provide all with the education and awareness needed to make an informed decision about your vision and health. They are located off of Alameda and Buckley in Aurora, Colorado, but you can call today at 720-762-4290 or book online at ienvyvision.com. They take most medical insurance and Medicaid, so call or book today, 720-762-4290 or ienvyvision.com. That's 720-762-4290 or ienvyvision.com. iEnvy Vision, we see you. All right, and tell them that you saw it here on the Sports Fiends. Oh, man, what's wrong with me today? We were just talking clearly, and now I'm just like, the camera's on, and I'm like...
You can't misread that one, man. It's too ironic, you know?
Dude, you know what's funny is my glasses just came in, my new glasses from iEnvy Vision. I read that phone number how many times?
Yeah,
how many times?
It shouldn't be a matter of reading it at this point. It should just be like a button in your head you press and it just spits out, you know?
There's 3 times that I read that phone number a week on Thursdays, right? Today, I'm trying to call iEnvy Vision to see if I can come by and pick up my glasses. Could not remember the phone number.
Vinny, that's irony with an EYE. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sitting there like, what is the number? Call today. I'm even saying to myself, call today. Call today. I cannot remember the number.
That's because you don't do it enough. We're going to have to do 2 reads per show.
You know what? I'm going to have to do one at the end of the show so I get 6 in a day so it is seared into my brain.
There you go.
No, I just figured I'd share that little bit of irony in my life because I have no shame and I'm not shy. So anyway.
We wouldn't be here if you were, right?
That is a fact, sir. All right, so like I said, we're coming to you live from So High Studios in Denver, Colorado. And the playoffs, man, the picture is almost completely clear. 82 games are done.
Playoffs. Sorry, I had to. Just once.
You know, the only 2 teams that haven't figured out who they're going to play is OKC and Detroit. And for that reason right there is why I love this play-in now. At first, I was very skeptical. Not as skeptical as I am about most things, but I was very skeptical about it. I was like, man, this kind of gives the 10 too much. But I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to give the bottom team something to strive for, as opposed to just tanking and getting a lottery pick, right?
Sure.
So I got the premise of it, but I was just like, man, if you're in 9th or 10th place, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Well, I was kind of proven wrong yesterday. There was a couple of upsets, and I enjoyed all of those games. They were all really good games. I think the Miami Hornets game was by 1 point in overtime.
Did you watch that game?
That's some good basketball, yeah.
It was more than, like, it was, so they hit the 3 with 10 seconds left. I think, what's his name? Kobe there from the Bulls with big hair. I can't remember.
I know who you're talking
Kobe
about.
White, right?
Yes.
Yeah. like just a crazy, like it was like a curl that he didn't actually get all the way around on, so he was like spinning in the air with like no room between the sideline. Nasty shot. And then the sequence at the end of overtime was crazy. Also, LaMelo with the layup with about 8 seconds left, and then the block. As time was expiring to seal it. So a little bit of a kind of dirty play early in the game with him taking out Bam. I don't know if you saw that one, but
I know Bam couldn't score 83 to save him.
Yeah, because he's getting his legs swept out from under him. That kind of makes
sweep the leg.
Yeah,
but I could take him.
Right,
sweep the leg. That's what his coach said.
Yeah.
You want to win this game?
Yeah.
Sweep the leg.
It's a $50,000 fine. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right. We don't need you next game.
No, so to your point, like I don't think anyone is going to mistake even the 7 seeds through 10 for legitimate title contenders. All due respect to that 8 seed Miami team that that made that run that one year, but it's more about like you said, A, fighting the tanking, and B, they put on dang good show, man.
Dude,
like,
those were great games for the last 2 days.
And these are typically going to be games like, yes, you got your older Warriors teams in there that they're trying to find something
Scrappy
to play for, but
yeah.
But a lot of it is giving these young teams with a lot of young talent the chance to get some playoff experience and develop and be better equipped to actually be legitimate challengers in the coming seasons too. And so from that perspective, for teams like Charlotte in particular, I think it's something to be excited about. For teams like Portland as well, definitely something to be excited about for those fan bases.
Yo, Portland went off, man.
Yeah, Avdija, right?
That dude is like he seems like a European SGA. Like but his is a little bit different. Like people are actually fouling the hell out of that dude, and he's still finishing. Like he doesn't just take the shot, and like take the shot and then okay, let me just. Yeah. It's a hard foul, and he played hard. The Trailblazers played hard, and they actually gave the Nuggets fits all season. All 4 games that they played the Nuggets. I believe the Nuggets swept the series, don't get me wrong, but every single game, the Trailblazers were in it, and they gave the Nuggets everything they wanted and more. And the Trailblazers are going to be something to deal with. San Antonio is going to have a tough time playing that team.
Well, that's the tier of team that you got in this part of the standings, and they're not pushovers even if they're not necessarily contenders. But
no, wait, we didn't. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the Trailblazers did win the first game because they beat the hell out of the Nuggets. Because I remember saying. The Trailblazers beat the Nuggets, they beat OKC, and they beat San Antonio within a 2-week span during that time.
Well, I remember what was it? A few months into the season, everyone was giving them their flowers because they were the only team that beat OKC in their first 40 games of the season.
Right.
Before they kind of hit those injuries and ran into that more 500 stretch in January there. But
they're a matchup problem.
Before that, everyone was looking at that game going, "How did they do it?" Because they came back from down 20 in that game too.
They did.
So that was
they did against the number 1 defense in the league.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to be a little bit overmatched with San Antonio, but that is a nice thing if you're a play-in team. Is you get a little bit of momentum, going into those first round series. While those other teams, and yes, it's
you're
helpful.
Still in rhythm, right?
It's helpful for the 1 and 2 seed typically to get the rest for sure. But if you're Philly, right, you got your home fans chanting "We want Boston" before you actually have to go into the Garden and play them. They might not be chanting that in a few days, but they got a little positive energy to walk in there with.
They're not going to be chanting that come game 3.
right. But no, it's a little positive momentum for them. We'll see if it leads to any kind of excitement in the first round for any of those matchups. I don't know if it will, but you look at a matchup like Detroit. right? Like, let's say they get a Charlotte matchup. Charlotte has had, top 3 best records in the NBA since the new year, and they started off
at least
super
since
slow.
All-Star break,
right? And Detroit, we've talked a lot about how high their ceiling is, but how unproven they are, right? And so, if Charlotte happens to, steal game 1 or 2 in Detroit, and then maybe win game 3 at home, all of a sudden, like, all of that pressure is on the Pistons, So
yeah, that's true.
You never know.
You do never know. That's why they play the games. That's why they play the series, and a series is very, very tough. Both teams in Detroit, in your scenario, both teams would be completely unproven. Neither team has an abundance of playoff experience. I don't think any of those teams have anybody that's been to the mountaintop. Like, not one player. I can't think of one player on either one of Detroit or Charlotte that has actually, has even been to the playoffs.
I mean, Kemba's assistant coach for Charlotte now. Does that count?
I mean, on the bench, okay. I mean, you got at least some experience.
I actually didn't know that. So when I saw him like shoving Kobe White after that game tying 3, celebrating, that actually got me really hype. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that sort of does count because of the fact that you at least have someone on the bench that has been in this situation.
Someone. It probably take you a little farther than
I don't care if it's the water boy.
Right.
Like, somebody needs to have experience in the playoffs,
I mean,
bro.
Charlotte's got LeVar Ball. I don't know what other experience you need, man. That's all I'm saying.
LeVar? You mean LaMelo?
No, I mean LeVar in the front row cheering him on.
He's not on the bench, though.
They should get him a spot on the bench.
I mean, if he could just stand in the corner and take a shot.
I mean, you get him in one pregame huddle talking, and every single one of those guys is gonna think they're MJ. I promise.
I mean, you probably got a point. But speaking of Boston, because you brought him up, man, who is gonna beat them in the East, bro? Like, I really don't see anybody beating them. But there are some hot teams.
Yeah.
New York has given them fits, and New York just beat them the other day, right?
Yeah, I think that the East is probably deeper than they've gotten credit for most of the year.
This year for sure.
I know the West is a better conference, but there are a lot of teams that could get hot and go on a run in the East. I think obviously like the team I'd be most worried about is the Knicks, of course, but. That being said, I know
you just threw up a little bit in your mouth saying that.
I did. Yeah, that was what
I think it was picked up by the mic.
Yeah. But no, I think there's definitely, they don't seem as deep as they did last year, and that's saying something given the way that what's his name, distributed minutes before he got fired there. I can't remember the coach's Thibodeau. But obviously, you got to overcome that mental hurdle when they dispatch you the way that they did. And, yes, the clinching game came after the Tatum injury, but that, game 4 was over by the time Tatum got hurt. They were very low probability of coming back in that game. It was probably going to be 3-1 regardless, right? And those are really tough deficits to come back from. But, I mean, looking back at that series, I was looking into it, and, the shot quality that Boston was getting in that series. And this is how I felt at the time, but I know I'm biased, so I try not to put too much stock in it. But the numbers,
us biased on this show.
We talk about the numbers, right? The shot quality Boston was getting in that series was a lot better than the shot quality New York was getting. The expected field goal percentage, even relative to the different competencies of shooters you have in both teams, would suggest that you play a few more games, Boston was going to win more of them than they were going to lose. So hopefully, they exercise those demons this year. But that was tough watching that season end that way.
I mean, it looks like it is. I mean, here's 2 points. So one, Boston, everybody thought was going to be like Indiana, right? Without Tatum, for the most part.
Yeah.
There might have been a select few, yourself included, that knew the Boston would be in that area, like in the running. You didn't think they would be number 2.
We should go back to the tape on that, because I think I said they were going to have first round home court at least.
At minimum. I thought you said somewhere around 3 or 4.
Yeah.
but not 2.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't think anybody thought they would be 2 going into the playoffs.
Well, in particular, winning 56 games and JB being a top 3 MVP candidate. I knew JB
Tatum coming back and
being as good as he's been. I knew JB was better than people have given him credit for, but I thought they were gonna need and to their credit, they had role players step up and have the best years of their career.
And they got rid of Tingus Pingus.
They got rid of Tingus, which he's actually when he's on the court, he's been good in Golden State, dude. And in Atlanta.
He played really good last night.
He just can't stay on the court, man. I feel so bad for him, dude. But he's still got it. He's just
China doll.
It's the lungs, man. Yeah, the lungs have failed him. But hopefully, I'm rooting for Pingus. I hope he can sustain some minutes and have another great year next year. But
I agree.
But yeah, circling back, yes, the amount of role players that had to step up and play as well as they did for Boston to take the leap forward that they did was was very good to see.
It's scary.
I think I knew. I think I expected Peyton Pritchard to have that kind of season in him. I think I wasn't optimistic Derek White was going to get too much more efficient with the additional volume. But God, I don't know who saw Neemias Queta coming the way that he has, man. That dude has been a baller for us. Luka Garza even, man.
Right.
He's been huge.
Solid cast.
Right, and so I think Vucevic is still working his way into that rotation, and that
he just doesn't know exactly what his role is yet. But he's playing well.
That's going to be part of their ceiling, man. Is how well he finds his groove within this offense. Because if he can get anywhere near the 18 and 11 a game or whatever he was getting in Chicago, that's huge for that front court for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's where you're going to see them tested is their front court defense, because there's a lot of really good centers in the East, and Boston has figured it out on the offensive end in the front court because Luka Garza can shoot and Vucevic can shoot, right? But Queta has been the only reliable defensive front court presence, and they've gotten away with it because they have depth in the perimeter, like the wing defense.
They can defend out on the perimeter.
Right, but it's going to be interesting to see how those matchups go. Obviously, it very much works in our favor if guys like Joel Embiid can't play, which, I wouldn't root for it to be this way. I hope he's okay with the appendectomy and all that. But it's going to, as the playoffs go on and we get these different...
they need him.
As we get these different front court matchups, it's going to be interesting for sure.
They need him. But here's my second point, and it's kind of a counterpoint to what you just said.
Okay.
And not necessarily a counterpoint, but just a, let's say, I don't know, just a different perspective. Let's put it that way. So the Knicks, you brought it up, Thibodeau used to run them into the ground, right?
Yeah.
So now one could argue that team is very battle hardened, and they no longer do have that issue of running their stars into the ground, right? I think they have balanced their minutes actually quite lovely this year, even though they still managed to be in the same position or around the same position as last year. They still do manage to, or they still did manage to get back into that position, but this year they're a little more, rested, etc. So, the Denver Nuggets would have been able to say the same thing if they hadn't gone through all of the injuries that they had to go through. I think the Denver Nuggets probably could have been number 2 as opposed to 3 had they not had the injuries that they suffered, but I digress on that point.
Sure.
Back to the Knicks, and in the East, one could argue that they are so battle-hardened that this could be their year. So what would you say to those people as a Boston fan and just as a person who can break it down, what would you say to those people to counter argue that their team is ready for Boston?
Yeah, I think that they obviously have as good a shot as anyone in the East. There's been the argument made in national media around they have the greatest weight of expectations this year. That's the case every year in New York, to be honest with you.
Or
but
LA.
Sure. But in particular, I understand the point there. I appreciate the extra depth, but you look down this depth chart, right? You're talking about I mean, how many minutes are guys like Alvarado and Jordan Clarkson really going to get in a playoff series? You know, I think you'll see Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet, and they like this McBride guy. But the ceiling, you know what you're going to get from Jalen Brunson, and you generally know what you're going to get more or less between Anunoby and Bridges. They're both going to play solid defense, and probably one of the two of them will have a solid offensive game, not both, right?
Right.
But the big question mark with them is always going to be which version of Big Cat do you get?
I knew that's what everybody says. Like, what person, which cat is going to show up?
Right, exactly.
Is it going to be regular season cat or is it going to be playoff cat?
Right,
because there's a difference.
If you get the best version of Cat, like the sky is the limit for that team. You've never seen it once in his career in the playoffs for any sustained stretch of time. You get it for spurts, and you don't get it long enough to get team over the hump where he's not even being asked to be the number one like offensive option.
He's like the fourth or fifth. Brunson
is always going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think they can succeed with him as the fourth. Like Anunoby and Bridges just have not been consistent enough. And they just don't get enough of the ball in this style of offense. They're more the 3-and-D guys, and that's what they're paying them for, which is fine, right? But you need Towns to be like 20 to 25 a game, second option scorer in every playoff series to make a deep run. So.
Okay. All right. So that's his counter argument to why New York cannot beat Boston.
Because Cat's got his tongue.
Cat's got his tongue. Yeah, I love it, man. All right, so I mean, you answered my question on that, man. Like I said, the Trailblazers upset the Suns in Phoenix, so now Phoenix has to play the Warriors on Friday night, right? Let me ask you this. Because you're pretty basketball savvy, and you obviously know who Devin Booker is. Like,
you're being so nice to me tonight. Thank you.
I'm trying to keep you here. And forget about your softballs. Like, we're just gonna not look at the clock at all, and like it's just gonna be 8 o'clock, and then be like, "Hey, now you can go." Hey,
no, for sure. I know.
No, but all jokes aside, like, if Devin Booker, because Devin Booker's dying in the Valley of the Sun, like he's dying. And I don't really like Devin Booker, but I respect his game, and that dude can play. He can play. He could be a good shooter, a great shooting guard on any. He's probably a Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot, but
I think he's got the ceiling. He's got work to do before he's there for me, but he's got the ceiling.
He's not getting any younger, and he's been in the league.
Here you go. You're about to make a 28-year-old 82 again. I'm ready for it.
I'm just saying, though. That takes a wear and tear on your body, man. 82 games times 10 years plus playoffs.
Yeah, he's 29. He's been in the league. This is, his 10th season now?
10 years.
11th year?
10 or 11. It's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like,
he's another one of those, like, one and done in Kentucky, and then he was, 18, 19 starting in the NBA.
Right, right. So with that said, if you were Devin Booker, would you stay in Phoenix after this season, or would you want out?
What's his contract situation? Do you know?
I'm not sure on his contract situation. I know he can't be traded. I do know that he can't be traded without him giving the sign-off. But could he? Would you request a trade? Like, it doesn't feel like Phoenix is trying to put a team around him. They keep saying that they are, but it's almost like the Nuggets of old, when the Nuggets were doing a song and dance and be like, yeah, we're trying to do things here.
Sure.
But really they weren't,
Well, so the thing is, he signed a 2-year, 145 extension in July of last year. He was already under contract through 2027, 28.
Ooh,
and
he's there.
So he's there till 2030 now. So he's in it for the long haul.
But is there what's the trade? Is there a trade clause or? Because I'm asking if you were him, would you request a trade? Not necessarily because your contract's up, would you leave?
Well, it's just so hard to get people to take on that amount of money for that amount of time.
What if he said, I'll restructure? What if I'm Devin Booker and I'm like, I'll restructure my contract for a trade?
It doesn't include a no-trade clause, to be fair.
It doesn't?
No, it does not.
Okay.
So, there's two schools of thoughts on this, right? Like, I think him signing that contract last year coming into this season, this team was projected to win like 30, 35 games. Like dumping Bradley Beal's contract, dumping Kevin Durant, right? Like getting some younger, Jalen Green's young, talented, but not super efficient at this point in his career, getting some draft picks, like when they had basically emptied the coffers, right?
Right.
Like this was not expected to be a good team. And that was the environment that he decided to sign that extension in. And look, I mean, they outperformed all expectations by far this year. I mean, they got to be 15 games better than most people were expecting them to be, right? And so, I think that speaks something to how he feels about being there and the positive attitude he has about it, which good for him, man. I mean, that's the type of thing that, your young guys in your locker room around you are going to feel, right? Like if your best player is like, yeah, I know we're going to suck this year, you're going to see that in how they play. But if he's like, who cares?
They made the playoffs.
Who cares what they're saying in the national media? We can win games. I mean, that's the rising tide lifting all ships right there. So, I mean, personally, what I want to get out of Phoenix, I don't know, man. He definitely seems like the guy that is happy that he's the number one option on offense, to be honest.
That's a good point.
And that ain't going anywhere.
Because he does seem like that type of arrogant guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's they got nice weather in Phoenix, right? It's a dry heat.
Yeah, year round.
It's a dry heat, It's
Lucas tells me and Mark all the time, like, dude, y'all need to move here. I was like, yeah, right now is great. In January, it's 80-something.
Right.
But what about June?
Right.
What about July?
You stay inside.
And August and September.
Yeah.
It's 128, Lucas.
Right. You're right. Exactly. No,
I can't live in those conditions.
But it's not like they've never won there. They did go to a finals a few years ago and won 60-something games. So he probably feels like there is some formula to get back there. And
with the exception of last year, they were a perennial playoff team.
Right. 100%. So, I mean, me personally, like, I think they're a couple years out, and so if your mindset is like, I can't wait that long, I could see wanting to get out.
He's 10 years in the league, though, man. I'm not even talking about his age or making him old. I'm saying being 10 years in the league, and they're probably 3 years out.
Yeah, but dude, like the egos that these guys have, like you don't think that he's looking at 12 years older than him, Bron, going, well, shoot, if he could do that, I mean,
he's not in as good a condition as Bron was.
I could knock down some threes for 6 more years, right?
Okay, that's fair. I could stand in the corner and drain threes.
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. Like, I could contribute. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to say for sure, but he seems like he's happy there.
Okay.
And obviously, like, they're not going to get as good of a draft pick.
It's not far from L.A.
Right. It's not far from L.A. They're not going to get as good of a draft pick as they probably were hoping to, but that I think it was probably worth it for the development of the young guys on that squad this year. They had a couple guys kind of break out,
Okay.
So,
okay. With that said, speaking of a breakout, should the Clippers have a breakup with Kawhi Leonard?
dump them.
The Clippers got outclassed, man. They really did, by a team that was half their size. I mean, the Warriors only have Tingus Pingus, and I can't stop calling him that because of you.
You're welcome.
They only have him for size. Like, dude, otherwise, Green is their 5. Like, they don't have anybody really bigger.
They still got Looney, don't they? Or they ditched
No,
Looney?
I think Looney plays in New Orleans or something like that.
I think you're right, actually.
So they don't
I just figured he'd never leave there, but yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a good job for him, bro.
Yeah, no kidding,
Get in there, rebound, and foul.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes, get 5 rebounds, 2 fouls, we'll give you a ring every other year. Perfect.
That's a perfect situation.
Right.
I'd do that.
Right.
I'd do that right now. Just let me get into shape, like full court shape. Like,
right.
I'll do that right now. Run up and down. I'll give you 4 fouls. How about that?
Well, they got Big Al, too. Remember? They picked him up.
Oh, that's right. They do have Horford.
Yeah.
But still, Horford, that's Green.
Yeah, that's
2 power forwards playing center.
He's a little bigger than Green, and he's got surprising athleticism still at 39.
I do like Horford.
I can't believe that dude can still jump the way he can at 39. But
I was hoping the Nuggets would pick him up when y'all let him go. Like we talked about it. Like I was really hoping.
But obviously, we know he doesn't have the same athleticism that he had 10 years ago either.
Nope, he's still a 35 to 41% 3-point shooter or somewhere in that range.
That's all you need from him, man.
And you just need him to play defense.
Yeah.
That's it. So I ain't mad at that, but the Clippers being outclassed by I wouldn't say a younger team, about the same age on average for the team, but definitely a smaller team. And it looked like the Warriors made the Clippers look real small, especially in the fourth quarter. It looked like a team that had been there before. With even Porzingis has been there before. Right? So that entire team, for the most part, has been there before. At least the starting five, for the 3 out of the starting 5 have been there before. And they looked like it last night. They looked like it. And the Clippers didn't. So what does this say for Kawhi's legacy, man? What do you think this honestly says for his legacy? Does he stay in LA? What did he just sign? Because he just signed, didn't he? And they just protected him for some money that they were trying to give him, like through a company or something, man. Like,
yeah, that whole thing. That's that situation's not over, by the way.
No,
like,
it's not.
That might be an interesting storyline over the offseason.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
I want to acknowledge, for what it's worth, they did the teams were basically matched on rebounds and points in the paint in that game. So, to your point, that game had ebbs and flows. But if you can't win the paint battle against
a team that's half your size,
yeah, I mean, Steph is going to do Steph things, and at some point he's going to get a little hot and he's going to beat you in that situation. But yeah, so he's on the second year of a 3-year, $150 million extension. So he's actually in a contract year this coming season, and it's going to be interesting to see how that whole investigation into those interesting payments plays into his potential trade or free agency situation. Does it impact his legacy? No, because his legacy has always been like he's not reliably always gonna have it turned on, man. Like sometimes
he never does.
Sometimes the lights the light switch was on in San Antonio and in Toronto, and I guess that's it. But there was a couple times where all of a sudden the light switch was on, and when it's on, it's all the way on. In the All-Star game this year, for that one game, it was all the way on, and then all of a sudden he looks unstoppable, right? Like, and
even LA did look good in this last stretch. They looked good.
That's what I mean. Like it turns it on and off, but the thing is, at some point he's going to stop caring and he's going to turn it off, and you just don't know when that's going to happen, and
it happens at the most inconvenient times.
Sometimes that's how it's going to work, man. So I mean, he's still averaged 28, 6.5 and 4 this year. Like, he's still got the opportunity to help a team wherever he goes, but I don't think it impacts his legacy, but I think that the whole investigation and legal situation is going to be probably a big influence on does he stay in LA, does he go, or what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, a part of that has to be laid upon the front office of the LA Clippers, because it's not like he was just trying to hide money through a shell company. I believe they helped him set this up so that they could sneak some money off the books, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, when the story first came out, I like it read like the finger was more being pointed at the Clippers organization. Man.
Right.
I mean, I don't obviously if you're cashing the checks, like you got to roll in that too, of course, right?
You didn't know where you were depositing the checks,
right? You didn't know where they were coming from, man. Like maybe it was like a Shohei Ohtani situation. Like,
right? I didn't know nothing.
His longtime buddies, his bookkeeper, he was the one taking all the checks for him, and he just asked for money when he needed it, whatever. But
right.
No, I mean, you can't. Obviously he's got some role in it too, but yeah, I mean, you would think that the multi-billion-dollar organization would be, actually. I was going to say out loud, and it sounded stupid, that the multi-billion-dollar organization would have more corporate, social, financial responsibility than one individual player. But I guess that's kind of bass-backwards, huh?
I mean, yeah, it is. With that said, let me ask you this, because I know you watched that. You said you watched the Golden State Clippers game, right?
I didn't see the whole thing. I saw some clips, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the stupid wave things that they gave the fans on the wall?
For the crowd? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched enough games. They do like gimmicky stuff like that throughout the year, so I can imagine it. Yeah,
they do, and the Clippers, I commend them for that because they have to be relevant in some sort of way, and having those little things are quirky and cool, especially for a fan. I'm a huge fan, so that's something that would be cool at the can, but with that said. That whole wall situation where they built this stadium and they've got this wall, is that a commodity or does that really work? You said you got some numbers for me.
All right.
And I want to get to this before you head out because we only got about 6 minutes before you have to go play with your softballs.
No, you're good. Real quick, I want to address the qualitative piece of this, right? 'Cause
Okay.
To me, this is one of the major things that keeps that will always keep college sports relevant relative to professional sports, right? Is the in-game environment, right? Like, when you have a huge student section that, is just pumping energy into the entire rest of the crowd, right? Like, that is, it just changes the entire experience dramatically, right? Mm-hmm. In professional sports, obviously, you can have, electric environments, you can have pumped up crowds, especially in the playoffs and stuff like that. But, I mean, let's be honest, right? Like, you got, people like selling, their tickets for business, trips and stuff like that, and people that are there as corporate sponsors, and people that don't actually, have the same level of investment in the outcome, right? Mm-hmm. All over the place. And they're more expensive, so you got a more hoity-toity crowd. Maybe they're not drinking as much we're talking broad brush, like on average, right? And so to me, like anything that you can do to just pump more energy into that environment, I'm always going to be supportive of. I love that.
I mean, me too. But is it a commodity?
So this is where the numbers come in, right? Because you were like, oh, it's a gimmick, whatever. Blah blah.
No, I
blah.
said it couldn't be because it feels that way.
So we need. Obviously, like more data will help make this a stronger point. But what we've seen up to this point is when you shoot in front of that wall, when you shoot free throws, right? Because everything else, I don't know how much is going to, but a free throw in front of that wall, right? The league average is 73.4% on free throw shooting.
Okay.
The league average, any other basket in the NBA or overall, hovers between 77 and 78% each year. Okay, that's a 5% difference is a big old chunk when you talk about the number
and shooting percentage.
Right,
yes.
exactly. For the number of players, number of free throws that get taken every year by SGA alone, let alone the rest of the league, right? That's a lot.
You had to get that dig in there.
Course,
I saw that.
Of course. That's a lot. That's a lot of missed free throws, right?
It is.
Like the other basket, the other side of that one stadium, right? They shoot 76.1%. So it's a little lower than league average, but it's 3 percentage points higher than in front of the wall, right? So granted, it's early returns, maybe more seasons.
I mean, it's only been like 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, maybe more seasons come around and like it levels out, or maybe more seasons come around and it gets more drastic. I don't know, right? But so far, the numbers would suggest that it's giving them about a 1 point advantage per game.
And that counts.
That counts.
It didn't count yesterday.
It did not count yesterday.
It did not count yesterday, but it counts.
Right.
It does count.
Right.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
It does count. Okay, so it's not necessarily a commodity. It does work.
And if they had one of those things in Denver, you'd be trying to get in on that.
I prefaced this whole thing with saying I love those type of things. I love what LA's doing, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I wish they do more of that type of stuff in the can. I wish they'd go back to having those blimps in the can where they drop in shirts in the top tier as opposed to just having weak arm, noodle arm people down at the court throwing it to the people.
Right.
Like them people down there can afford shirts.
Right. Come on.
They could go to the store that's literally right outside of their door.
Get out the air cannons. Come on.
Yeah,
if you're gonna
man.
shoot one in the lower section, at least take a head off while you're doing it.
Especially with how much you charging for tickets in that upper deck now, dude.
Well,
you done priced your people out, man.
I think that's part of it. You spend $1,000 on the low section ticket, and it comes with the shirt.
But I'm saying those people can afford to buy their own damn shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying take away their shirts. I'm just saying can we get some shirts up in the upper deck? That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree. 100%.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just get some shirts.
Or
in
just the
upper deck.
majority would be great, you know? Come on.
I'm starting to sound like a real old man. I'm like, back in my day. Now, why am I a prospector, though, now? Anyway.
We're going way back to your day.
Bobblehead night.
Bobblehead
The
night.
Leadville Nuggets.
I'm just saying, like back in the day,
Sure.
there was a time where, those tickets were cheaper. Obviously, the Denver Nuggets have won a championship. They won a chip, so
Yeah.
tickets go up. The Broncos win, the tickets go up. I get it. Hopefully soon I'll still be able to get back into going to 10 games a year. Right now, your boy can't afford that. So anyway, but back in the day, they used to have blimps that literally would fly around. I just want them to get back to those type of things at the Can. Hopefully they do.
Yeah. No, they still had them in. Last time I played NBA 2K was probably like going on 10 years ago now. But like in those NBA 2K games, like in the little animation between like during timeouts and stuff, you'd have the little blimps flying around. Still,
Right.
Like it was still a common thing. So I don't know.
I know it's old tech now. Like, but can we get something?
Yeah.
Like, can we just get somebody in the Raptors dropping little like parachute
Yeah,
shirts?
the parachute ones. Those are great.
We could do that. We could do that. Then it's a free for all, right?
right.
Because you could drop it in the back and it could float all the way down to the court for all we know.
Sure.
But then it's fair. Then it's fair, man. I'm all about fair.
Man, they should take it beyond like the t-shirts too. They should be dropping like hot dogs and beers and stuff like that.
No, I don't know about that. That's a slippery
All
slope,
right,
dude.
bigger parachute for the beer. That could cause an injury. But like, come on.
Maybe drones.
Okay.
Let's go with drones if we're gonna handle food.
People would love that.
Or
I'm sure,
beer.
Sure, nobody would be trying to take the drone out or anything. Definitely not.
Bruh,
All it takes is one drunk dude.
I'm not confirming or denying that I would be that guy. All I know is I want a hot dog.
I came here to get away from Amazon.
And I don't care about that kid. F that kid. That's my hot dog and my beer, okay?
Yeah, there you go.
Just saying.
Now we're talking.
All right, so we figured out that it's not a commodity. The numbers, and I've always been a proponent of the numbers don't lie. Sometimes, like we said before the show, sometimes it tells a different story than the eye test, but they still don't lie. Like the numbers are the numbers, right? Speaking of which, the Hornets have been putting up some numbers, man, and they beat a pretty solid team, a very experienced team. Now, as you said, you felt like Adebayo got Tanya Hardinged, but is that too strong?
You love that reference for
Is
some
that too
reason.
strong?
It's
I'm just
very-
saying. Well, I mean, she took a lead pipe to somebody's knee, bro.
Yeah, it's a pretty good reference.
It's like the only reference you can go to when somebody unprofessionally tries to take you out.
Right,
You can't beat them, so you're going to Tanya Harden them.
Yeah,
You're going to lead
right.
pipe them to the knee.
Yeah, well, you can go the Karate Kid reference too.
Yeah, you can sweep the leg.
I can't remember if that.
I
made
used
it
that
to-
earlier.
Did that make it to the hot mic, or was that before hot mic? It
No,
did?
that made it to the hot mic.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure that made it to the hot mic.
You got a couple there. There you
All
go.
right, I'll take them.
Yep.
I'll take them. But the Hornets, man, they continue to amaze me, man. As young as they are, they're ahead of the curve.
They've been struggling for a long time, dude. I wouldn't call them ahead of the curve.
No, I'm saying the fact that they won a game. They basically won a playoff game
And
yesterday,
it's about,
bro.
About time they figured it out, man. They've been in the basement of the East for a decade.
I'm saying this particular team. I agree with you.
Okay.
They haven't been great.
But it's
I'm
good to-
saying
yeah.
they leaped from lottery pick last year to play-in game, and they won a play-in game. Typically, teams that make that leap get to the play-in game and lose, and then the next year they get to the play-in game and win. Then the next year they get into like 6th, 5th, 4th, etc. Right? Typically, that's the progression. That's what I mean by they're ahead on the curve, because they actually went into that play-in game, went into Miami, hostile environment. Like I said, they did Tanya Harding, Bam Adebayo, but the fact is that they still only won by 1 point. To me, that's a pretty big feat for that particular team.
I mean, they could have very easy. That game could have gone either way for sure. I think part of what you're describing is a little bit of a trend. I mean, what do you call it? Detroit is, a step ahead in the same direction. OKC, San Antonio have all done something similar in recent years now, where we project a learning curve one way, and then all of a sudden they're winning 60 games somehow. That being said, like, it's almost like teams are tanking until they feel like they're ready to contend,
Well, they're stacking like first round
That's what I mean.
lottery.
They're going, top 5 pick on top 5 pick on top 5 pick until now they go, oh, actually now we might be ready.
Hey man, and kudos to them, but that
Yeah.
to me is BS. I mean, if that's your blueprint, I get it. It's working.
Mm-hmm.
I can't knock
thing.
that.
You got to do whatever the league is rewarding you for. If you don't put a system in place
They're
that
within the rules.
works against it, then I would say if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But it's not cheating. Like
It's within the rules.
Right.
It's within the parameters of the rules. But the thing that they're going to run into is the same thing that Minnesota ran into when Minnesota was doing the same thing. And look at Minnesota now. Minnesota's in 6th place. They were in that 1, 2, 3 spot for the last few years, but now they're losing players. Naz Reid is probably going to be gone next year. You're probably going to lose about, I don't know about Rudy Gobert or Anthony, Ant, but you're going to lose some of your key players because of the apron. You just don't want to be in that second apron, and OKC's right there. The Clippers had the same issue once the new SBA kicked in. Clippers had the same issue.
Well, and now what you're talking about goes back to how do you try to sustain these rosters long term in this environment, right? And there's a delicate balance between, okay, obviously, like when you have an MVP caliber player at the forefront, you got to give them the max contract, no question. Okay, maybe your second best player, you're probably giving them a max as well, right? But then the question is for the rest of the roster, do you do what Minnesota or Houston have elected to do, which is say, okay, I think we're right there. Maybe we're one piece away. Let's push our chips in. Maybe give up one or two of these young guys, or a little bit of draft capital that we don't need. Grab a veteran that can maybe put us over the hump and see if we can get there, right? And then if it doesn't work, now you got too much money on the books, and you got more guys that need extensions, and you got to go back into a rebuild, right? I don't know if anyone's fully figured out yet how to just keep that train from ever hitting a station, right?
Well, I think the system is designed for them not.
Well,
it's creating more peril within the league.
Right.
OKC and Denver does not win a championship without this.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, you got softballs to go play.
I think so, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. Thank you for
sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And we'll finish up this conversation next week.
That sounds good.
Let me slide to the center here.
We'll see you next week.
All right, give my love to Chris.
We'll do. Going out on assignment, y'all.
Let me slide this over. We're not professional here. We don't have a crew to come in and just switch everything. So I'm just gonna do this on the fly right here. All right, so back to this conversation though, and I'm talking to my sports fiends here. Back to this conversation now. So the Hornets have a good chance, man. They have a good chance to make a push. I don't think they're going to make a big push or anything like that, but they do have a chance to make a big push. But the Magic, man, they're tough. The Magic is a tough team. The Magic are where the Hornets want to be at this point when we're talking about the curve and how they're basically learning each other and whatnot. I'm trying to get myself centered here because it looks weird to me when there we go, because it looks weird to me when I see myself center right. But anyway, so I can totally see them making a dent, but I honestly think that the Magic are going to beat them on Friday night. I don't think it's going to be like a massacre or anything like that. I think it's actually going to be a really good game. And that goes back to mine and Ryan's first point at the beginning of the show, Sports Fiends. Like, this play-in situation has become very entertaining. And I don't know if it's that us as fans have bought in to it per se. I think it's just because the games themselves, the players themselves have bought into this system. Not every team has bought in because you obviously still see teams trying to tank. You still see teams trying to get lottery picks. I think the lottery pick system is broken. I do think that the NBA, it's not so much of load management or any of those things that they needed to focus on per se, but they definitely need to focus more on fixing the lottery system, like not allowing teams that are, in that fourth to second to last, third to last spot, right? To get a number one overall pick, because all you really have to do is tank to get into the lottery system. That's all you really need to do. You don't necessarily have to just suck really, really bad. You can suck to the point of you're the top or the lower 5 of the league, the lower 3 of the league, and still get a number one overall pick. Like, that's crazy to me. The fact that you could be in 12th, 13th, or 14th, and it's just crazy to me, this lottery system. Now, it's always been this way, or it hasn't always been this way, but it's been this way a long time. It's probably like 25 years. It's been this way, and it's worked to a certain extent. But I like what the NBA is doing with the peril of the parity of the, or I should say the way that teams can't just stay on top. There's not going to be a lot of dynasties anymore. There's not going to be a lot of teams that can just dominate. You're going to have to come up with crafty ways to keep a top 2 as opposed to a top 3 or top 4 on your roster, because nobody can truly afford to keep that many players on max contracts. If you have 3 players that are on max contracts, that's what the Nuggets ran into last year, right? They had 3 players, almost 4. I can't remember if AG is on a max contract or not. But the fact of the matter is that they did have Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. all on max contracts. And they knew they were not going to be able to make any. If they kept MPJ, and I know there's all these MPJ sympathists and MPJ this, MPJ that. I miss MPJ too, to a certain extent, but number one, he was a liability on defense. Number two, he wasn't worth the contract that the Nuggets wanted him to sign. Like, he was still going to be the number 3 option. Yes, he's balling out of control in New Jersey. That's how old I am. He's balling out of control in Brooklyn, right? Because he's the number 1 option and they don't have anybody else. That's why. If he was still on this Nuggets team, they don't need him to score 25, 30 a game. They just need him to be a 3-and-D guy, hit some threes when the time is right, some timely threes, basically what Tim Hardaway has been doing this year, or a mixture between Tim Hardaway and a couple of other players, Cam Johnson included. That's how the Nuggets have been able to do what they've been able to do, and they had to trade away MPJ in order to do that. They did. They had to trade away MPJ in order to do that. Without trading MPJ, the Nuggets are right back. Actually, the Nuggets might have fallen into that play-in scenario if they had kept MPJ, because there was no way they would be able to sign Tim Hardaway Jr. There was no way that they'd have been able to hire or re-sign Brucey B. There would have been no way that they'd have been able to give a contract extension to CB, and he would have been able to walk. There would have been no way they'd have been able to do any of this stuff that they were able to do this season. Valanciunas, they would not have been able to make that trade or get that trade to go through or sign him or whatever the case may be without trading MPJ. That was the key to it. So all of these other teams, OKC, Minnesota, all of these teams that have drafted, San Antonio's set. Actually, I have to give San Antonio kudos because they're way ahead of the curve, right? They're way ahead. They're in second place, and Wemby and most of that team is only 2 or 3 years into the league, so they're way ahead. They just need experience at this point. At this point, they need experience in the playoffs, and they are going to be set for the next 6-7 years, maybe 3 years, based upon the aprons and whatnot. That's a little overzealous saying 6 or 7 years, but at least a good 3 or 4 years. 3 or 4 years, they're set. And if they can get 2 or 3 rings out of that 3 or 4 years, that's a dynasty in this type of era of basketball in the NBA, because you are not going to be able to keep more than 2 max contracts without having no depth, no support, no nothing. That was the purpose of this new SBA. Is the NBA, to me, is trying to create opportunities for more teams. and to combat the tanking of teams that have been, that has been overwhelmingly taking over the league the past 10, maybe even 20 years. It's also to combat the players trying, the LeBron type players from collective bargaining themselves and in the off season skipping the process that the NBA has been doing for a long time. And I get it. So the process is to a certain extent unfair to the players, and that needs to be tweaked too. But this CBA is to combat those things, in my humble opinion. Keep players from in the off season giving each other opportunities, trying to make it to where they decide what teams are going to have super teams and what teams aren't. And the thing is that what happened in Miami can't happen again. And a lot of people will always bring up, what about Boston? Boston had a super team. Well, the difference is that Boston, the Celtics, they facilitated as a team, as a front office, those trades. The only person they had was Paul Pierce. That's it. They had to facilitate trades and make some moves to get their other two key players in Kevin Garnett and the three-point sharpshooter. Dang, I can't think of that boy's name right off the top of my head right now. But the bottom line is they had to make trades and they had to make moves in order to get those players in, coupled with bringing up players through draft and their quote-unquote NBA farm system. They didn't, Paul Pierce didn't go out in the offseason and recruit two players that were also free agents and a part of his recruitment class and try to get them to come play in Boston so that they can win a chip. It's not what happened. But that is what happened in Miami. And so this CBA is designed to combat those things, especially that right there, because you cannot do super teams anymore. You will not be able to get a LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade on one team. Like, I understand in Miami that Dwayne Wade was already on that team, but they were all three free agents. And LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh all got together and made their own super team. But this new CBA, you wouldn't be able to do that because there's no way that a single team, not LA, not Boston, not New York, not any of these teams with very, very deep pockets can go out and buy, quote unquote, buy a championship. And I love it. I love it because that gives my team and the Denver Nuggets, who I'm not saying that the owners of the Denver Nuggets don't have deep pockets, because they do. The Cronkies have very deep pockets. I mean, they own the Avalanche. They own the Denver Nuggets. They own the Los Angeles Rams. They own the Rapids. I mean, it's not like and they're one of the most successful sports franchises in the world, maybe, definitely in this country, in the top four of sports. They are definitively one of the best, if not the best, probably have more championships than most sports organizations. Collectively, obviously, not in one sport, but collectively. So, but to a certain extent, they run the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets has always been run like it's a small market team. So to that point, it opens the door for the Denver Nuggets. Even with them having deep pockets, 'cause keep in mind, the Denver Nuggets did make some moves, and they I don't know if they went into the first or the second apron this year, or if they did or not. I really don't. I cannot recall. But I do know that Ryan is going to be late to his game.
Yep.
We're not professional here, ladies and gentlemen. Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Oh, my God. That just happened. That just happened, people. Anyway, back to my thought. Seeing it replay on my app, because I'm sitting here watching the chat. Seeing it replay on the chat is making it even funnier. So anyway... these teams that don't that do have deep pockets are a bit hamstringed, because even if you have deep pockets, the problem with the CBA and the apron system is once you get into that second apron, you can't renegotiate contracts. You are kind of stuck with what you got. You made a bed, you lie in it. If you remember correctly, when we first started this show, I believe Larry and I had went through what the CBA rules are, what the apron system is, and I think we could break it down next week if you'd like. I can do it again. Those type of teams, even though you have deep pockets, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how much money you have, because unless you have enough money to keep 3 max contracts for 5-6 years and you get 4 championships out of that, it might not be worth it in a business sense to sign 3 to 4 max contracts for that long, because you'd be stuck with them. You wouldn't even be able to trade those players. Like, just to clear your books and start scratch, you would be stuck with those players, if I remember correctly. And like I said, I'll break down the rules. And if somebody thinks that they know the rules better than I do, by all means, send me a comment. Go on social media at Sports Fiends with the Z's. Let us know. Let us know what you think could or should happen, like, or talk to us. Because I'm telling you, this is a fan's perspective, and this is what I see as a fan. Like, these different rules benefit teams. That's how Houston is where they're at. That's how Denver is where they're at. That is how Charlotte is where they're at. That is how all of these small market teams that have come up in the ranks, even though the Clippers are in LA, man, that's how, that's why they had to clear out the cupboards. They had to clear out the cupboards and get rid of a lot of players and kept Kawhi, right?
So let's go.
Let's get it, man. I'm looking forward. All right, so to wrap this up, I only got about 90 seconds left or so. But to wrap this up, man.
You might have more. Hold on.
The playoffs. The playoffs are rolling, man. The playoffs start this Saturday. I cannot wait. I'm going to make some honey hot wings. We got the fam coming over. We're going to watch the games all day. That's all I plan on doing is watching basketball on Saturday and Sunday. Try to get my mind right, if you catch my drift, and just, relax and watch some games, man, because it's going to be a fun weekend. And I hope you have a fun weekend and a fun week, man. That wraps it up for me today.
Oh, I know all about that.
So we will see y'all next Thursday live at Sohai Studios. That's muscle memory from the brain. Sohai Studios next week, 7 p.m. Don't forget to hit us on all your socials, man. Sports Fiends with the Z's. Holler at your boy. Hopefully the whole tribe will be here next week, and these boys won't be out on assignment, or for Ryan playing with softballs that he's probably going to be. And actually, not probably. I think he's already late, too.
It's windy.
It is windy, so it's going to be tough to play. But anyways, we will see y'all next week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Or don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Holla at your boys next week. Peace.
Peace.
I need to get that.